Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Behind the Contract. I am your host, Dustin Sullins, and I'm very excited about today's episode. I am here with the amazing Kiley Williams. We are going to discuss first-time investors. We are also going to discuss her website that she runs called the Ozark Edit. It is an amazing resource for the community. And then we're also going to discuss buyers and sellers. So with that, we'll get into it. Kiley, thanks for being here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, Kiley, just kind of the first thing, just rolling into it, for anybody who doesn't know you or not super familiar with you, or maybe they do and they just would like to know more about you, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. But hello, if you guys don't know who I am Kiley Williams. I am a full-time licensed real estate agent here in the Ozarks area. I was born and raised out of the Joplin area, so this area still feels like home to me. My husband and I have lived here for a little over 6 years. We now have 2 little kiddos. My son turns 3 at the end of this month, which is crazy, and a 1.5-year-old daughter. But yeah, like I said, we have lived here for a little over 6 years. We moved here from Northwest Arkansas. We both went to school down there for my husband's job. Really thought we would kind of he would do the few work things he needed and we'd move back, but quickly this area just became home. We got connected with a great church, friends, community, and one thing after the other, this is where we see ourselves long term. Yeah. We love this area. It's close enough if we ever want to go visit Kansas City, Northwest Arkansas. You're just so centrally located. We have a lake 30, 40 minutes away. We love this area. But like I had said, I am a licensed full-time real estate agent. I've been doing it for several years now. Never in a million years did I think I would be doing this. I grew up around real estate. My mom's an agent and broker. My parents kind of built and renovated homes. I had actually gone to grad school for my master's in healthcare administration. Really thought I was going to go that route. COVID happened and did a 180 and I'm just grateful for the doors the Lord opened and just love what I get to do every day. Yeah,
absolutely. It's amazing, like whenever you're on one path and then the Lord's like, nope,
just kidding.
You're going to do this.
Yeah, you just full trust in that season and now being on the other side of it, I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, I love that. Okay, so the first thing I want to kind of get into is your website. The Ozark Edit that you operate. So where did that idea come from?
Really, it came from a need. Over the last few years of being in real estate, I've had the opportunity of helping people buy and sell real estate, whether they are already living here or they're moving here. And it does expand all the way down to the Branson area. Having been from Joplin, I've helped many family friends buy lake houses down there. And so what I noticed is when people were moving here or just vacationing here, there really wasn't a one-stop shop website when it came to events and community, local business spotlight. We have some great ones for specifically Springfield or specifically for Branson, but a lot of people wanted to know what was happening between the 2 towns and 2 areas in the true Ozarks region. And so with that being the case, it really started with a need. And once I realized that, I was like, you know what, like I love community stuff. We're in the season with little kids and filling up our Saturdays, going to farmers markets, festivals and different things. And so it was something I already loved doing, is community spotlights and events and being a part of this area. So if there was a way I could kind of fill that need, it was something I was ready to jump into, and just ended up meeting with someone last fall about creating the website, and we rolled it out in December, went live, and it's been fun. Kind of, it's its own little community now because we have subscribers to the newsletters. People are going there on a weekly basis just to see what's happening in our area. That's
awesome. Love that. And you did kind of just answer it, but I'll kind of ask the question anyway. So like, was there a certain just like a problem or something that you were trying to solve with doing this?
Yeah, truly it was to service the 2 areas, and like I kind of said, the whole Ozarks region. Sometimes we'll include things even down in Northwest Arkansas. If you're looking to do a weekend down there, we'll give our local favorite shops, coffee shop, bike trail. Just again, if you're just looking for something to do on a weekend or a new restaurant to try out, our goal is for people to be able to go there and know exactly how they're going to fill their evening for dinner or how they're going to fill their Saturday morning for a farmer's market, and just to be a true resource and value add for people when they're just wanting to fall in love with this place.
Perfect. Love it. Now, as far as businesses go, is there certain like criteria, or is there a certain thing that you do to feature certain businesses or spotlight anything?
I really try to spotlight small businesses. I have worked with a few chain restaurants where they'll reach out saying they're opening one, like the Nixie Qdoba, that kind of thing. But the goal with it is truly to focus on our small businesses in our community.
Yeah.
But I still want people to be educated on the chain restaurants and stuff, because those are still good for community employment and everything. But yeah, really at the end of the day, it is just to feature some of the fun little stores here in our town that make our town what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I think me and my wife and I mean, we've lived here, and like, we live in Ozark, so we've lived in this area. Branson, if you count Branson, we've actually been in the area for 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's so many times whenever I'll be talking to somebody and they'll be like, oh, have you ever been to this local restaurant or whatever? And I'm like, nope. Yeah. Never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. And we love, I mean, like I said, when my husband and I first moved here, we were like, where do you guys go eat? Like, nothing wrong with chain restaurants, but we wanted to know the good local spots that like make Springfield and this area what it is. And so that's just always my goal, is to always feature those businesses. And,
love that. Perfect. And then as far as like, feedback from your buyers and stuff that are utilizing this resource, what are they saying?
It's been fun because it's allowed myself as an agent to build trust with clients moving to this area before, maybe when that initial conversation, or like, maybe we want to move here, they'll stumble across the page when they're Googling this area, and then they realize that I'm a real estate agent. And so they'll reach out, and it kind of just starts that conversation, but in that allows it to build trust with each other, just because they know that I am in this area, I'm in this community, I know what's happening, whether it be a small business or an off-market real estate deal. Feet on the ground, I live here, love this area. And so it's been fun, that built-in trust aspect. But something else that has also been good for the business is I use our newsletter to feature any new upcoming listing I have, or maybe a buyer's need. And so I'm able to use our subscriber base to kind of keep real estate deals happening. And people love to feel like they're in the know on things. Maybe there's a new listing. Like, people like to be in the know. And those newsletters, the clicks on them are always great, because people want to know what's going on. And so it's been fun to even allow transactions to filter and happen, because we are using the website to meet a lot of different needs, from small businesses to even real estate.
Got it. Okay, perfect. And I'm sure like obviously like the relationships that you've built along the way has really been like awesome to be a part of.
It's so fun getting to sit down. I try to do a business feature where we sit down with the owner and talk about the business, talk about when they got started. One of my favorites that I did probably in February was Schafitzel's, and they've been around forever. They're a very prominent family here in the Springfield region, but sometimes I'll be talking to people and they have no idea what it is, and it's a floral shop, but along with that they have Bernadine's, and that is a gift shop. It's up on North Glenstone, and it's so cute. It just blows my mind that sometimes people don't know what it is, or we'll be talking about coffee and they don't realize that Kingdom Coffee has the one on Lone Pine, and you can literally walk to a trail or a park. And so it's fun getting to kind of feature those businesses and get to hear the full story behind the business and what kind of makes it run.
Love it. Well, your mind's blown, because I've never heard of a floral shop. And now I have.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go on a Saturday morning. You have to take your wife. It's a cute little spot.
Okay, and then as far as like with anything that you start and you're trying to grow and just make it something that is valuable for everybody. Consistency is key. So how are you with this? How are you maintaining that consistency and continuing to grow it?
No, that's a great question. Our consistency right now, as far as posts go, every Wednesday there is a new blog post, also that is cross-posted to our Instagram and Pinterest and LinkedIn. Those ones seem kind of random, but the clicks that we get from those places, people are on those sites. And so it starts with a Wednesday blog post, cross-posted to everything, and then we have another one going into the weekend that is posted on Friday, and then we have a newsletter on Monday, every Monday, that is usually featuring one of the blog posts that's coming up for the week.
Perfect. Now, just kind of curiosity, so like whenever you highlight a business or you spotlight a business, what kind of information are you providing? Like, are you providing, if somebody goes there, what they can expect, like the atmosphere and stuff? And so what does that look like?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, recently we did, I should know the name. It's called the Gardener's Orchard up in Brighton. We recently did a feature on that, and that's a strawberry farm, but here in the fall they're going to have pumpkins and everything. Yeah. It is fantastic. Their hours are great. We have everything from hours of operation for them, cost to get in, and everything they have as far as like they have a big slide and animals. Like my kids loved it, and I don't think enough people know about it. So it's so fun getting to feature businesses like that. But my goal for information that you're going to get is always just all the information from entry to like if there's a fee related or hours. Some of these festivals are time of year, so they're very seasonal. And then something we're working on is if you get on the ozarksedit.com, we have blogs and then we have events. Something we're working on the events category is an interactive calendar. So like this Saturday coming up, if you wanted to know of a certain farmer's market and the hours, you would click on this Saturday and it would be it's very interactive. So it would allow you to know all the farmers market in the area, whether you wanted to go to the one in Farmers Park in Springfield, or maybe you wanted to go down to the Findlay Farmers Market in Ozark. So the goal with that is to just be very interactive for people trying to fill their calendar with just family activities or maybe looking for a dinner spot or something like that.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. Yeah, as you say that, like my family, we're big like festival people. So whenever you get that up and going, I'm excited because we always like to hit all the big festivals.
That's exactly how we are.
But I never know like when they are.
Yeah, so, exactly. That's exactly how we are, especially with fall coming up. All the fall festivals like in Mount Vernon, I think it's Apple Cider Days. I grew up in Carthage, so we have Maple Leaf, and that is like a huge festival. Yeah. It's featuring all the things just so people are aware of what's going on. I think that's the community and the events are what makes this place so special.
Absolutely, for sure. Okay, and then just like real quick, maybe like a little quick story time or whatever. So what would be like a time that you can kind of think of that was where like you had a client that utilized the Ozarks Edit and it was beneficial for them for like maybe buying a house or whatever?
When it comes to real estate, some of the success that has been fun to see in the last several months, and it's been more recent success because this just started in December, but again, it's fun to see the fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
I did have an off-market deal where I had an upcoming listing. We did our early newsletter for the listing showcasing it, and we had secured a buyer for it before it hit the market.
Okay.
And so there's kind of this little bit of like exclusivity. Like you're kind of getting to know what's going on in the Ozarks before it actually happens and before all of Ozark knows.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to get to be able to provide that level of service for clients. And then along with that, kind of like I had mentioned, the trust aspect of when people are moving here, them feeling like maybe they know me or they know that I'm educated on this area. So there's that built-in trust, and it's nice to be able to just get to work with people and feel like we value each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Yeah, I think like you just said, I mean, somebody who's moving here from a different area and knowing that they have you as, a resource for pretty much everything is awesome.
And that's where I almost get like giddy. Like I love it. I have clients later today I'm doing showings with. They are moving from Clearwater, Florida. And I sent them our whole like weekend itinerary. Even though they're here Monday through Thursday, I sent them our itinerary because they didn't know. They're staying in Springfield, but they're buying in Branson. And so it's like, well, on your way down, you have to stop at the workshop and get a coffee. Like there's just so much they didn't know, and you don't know until you live here. And usually it takes a few days to get acclimated to the area to really know of some of these businesses. So it's fun getting to send it as a resource to people to use. And once you get down to Branson, Sugar Leaf Bakery is a really cute bakery. Just getting to let them know some of the things that are in this area that make it special.
Perfect. Love that. Okay, so now kind of transitioning over into like the market, kind of what's going on in the market and stuff. So what are you seeing, just in general right now in the market that, maybe just like a new buyer or somebody just isn't seeing?
Yeah. What I would say, what I'm seeing through being in it every day, don't listen to the national headlines. It will tell you the market's slow. It's not slow here. It's a hot market. I still haven't seen, I know there for a little while headlines are buyers or sellers are losing money on their house if they're selling within 2 years. We still haven't really seen that yet. We haven't seen a crazy increase in price per square footage like we did from 2020 to 2023, but it's still a steady rate from movement of activity in the market, but then also just an increase in equity. We still have a very healthy market here. And so I'll talk to buyers a lot and they'll be kind of freaked out because of headlines, or even they're looking at Zillow. I had a sweet client who we listed their house at the beginning of May, and she had called me months before, and she's like, Kiley, so my house says it's like $100,000 less than what we bought it for, and we're thinking about selling it. And I said, do not listen to Zillow. Like, it is not right. And so it was funny because by the time we had actually listed it, it was, I think, $165,000 over what Zillow said it was, but that was market value. That is truly taking comps from our market and giving it to them. That house went under contract within 24 hours. So Zillow, don't listen to Zillow, don't listen to the national headlines. Talk to someone that is an educated real estate agent in this area that knows what's going on with the actual market.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think with like the national headline news and stuff, it's, you know, a lot of those headlines are driven from big like metropolitan areas and everything. So it's, you know, like you said, you know, don't listen to those, because just because something that's happening in, you know, if the market's not hot in like, I don't know, Chicago or something, doesn't mean that it's not here.
Exactly. Yeah. I just feel like we are in a very healthy market is what I tell buyers and sellers right now. I have plenty of buyers that are securing great deals on homes, but also sellers who are selling their homes for great price points. So everyone, I feel like right now is kind of leaving happy, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and so speaking of buyers, what are they doing right now that you would say is both helping them, but maybe also hurting them?
The buyers that I'm working with right now that are helping themselves are ones that are coming to me, or if not immediately to me with a pre-approval, they are getting that pre-approval before we're looking at homes.
Gotcha.
We recently did a deal where he's such a sweet buyer, but he did not get that pre-approval before we looked at that first home. So I called you. Thankfully, you got that pre-approval for us very quickly, but we missed out on it because it was a hot deal, and they got another offer before we could have it secured. So the buyers that are helping themselves, and again, that can happen in that initial conversation. I think it's great to reach out to a real estate agent, but just know that before you walk through a door, it's probably best to have that pre-approval, just because I've watched people miss out on what they would think is their dream home because they don't have it. So, and then, that's helping them, and the buyers that are hurting themselves are the ones that don't have it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy. I think a lot of buyers, they just aren't aware of how quickly stuff can change. Because, I mean, just because the house has been on the market for, you know, 20 days doesn't mean you have all the time in the world to go get pre-approved. I mean, it's funny because it's like the second you're interested, somebody else is interested. It just works
out that way. And you're like, is this real? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then on the flip side of that, what about sellers? What would you say, you know, same thing, hurting them and helping them?
Sellers that are setting themselves up for success are sellers that are willing to have their home move-in ready. So whether that means spending a few Saturdays to get landscaping ready, cleaning, trim, cleaning the house, touching up spots on the wall, they are helping themselves so much, because what's moving so quickly right now as far as days on market are the homes that are move-in ready. People want to walk into a house and feel like they could move in. Homes are still selling for a very high rate. Interest rates are okay. They're not as pretty as we would like them. So with that, I think buyers still want to feel like they're getting a good deal. So that comes down to the quality of the home. They want to feel like they're going to be able, they're okay paying this price point, but they want to feel like they're going to be able to move in and call it home. So again, this could be a seller doing it themselves. I've had a handful of handy sellers, or I have a great list of quality contractors and handy people who I'm happy to get them in contact with to be able to help them, because I've had a handful of clients that aren't able to do it themselves or just want to hire out the help. So having that is also helpful. Yeah.
A clean house is very, definitely goes a lot further than most people would think.
Exactly. And I mean, if you came to my house right now, I'm sure there are toys on the floor. I get it. You live in your home, but it's just a short period of time. You're almost like living in a hotel. You just have to live like no one lives there. But it's just a short period of time.
Okay, perfect. And then as far as like buyers, where would you say buyers are kind of getting leverage right now? Where do they kind of have a lot of the...
I've been excited about my buyers recently getting great concessions, so closing costs. I work with a handful of first-time home buyers, so they're not coming into this transaction with a ton of equity on another house they own. They're coming in with the money they have saved, and instead of all of that going towards down payment and all of that going towards closing costs, we're able to get them under contract, still pay for the down payment, but the closing costs being covered in the final transaction amount, but that's so good for them just so they're not losing all their savings. Say something happens, fridge goes out a few months in, they still have that savings there to be able to put towards something, or if they just want to refresh the house and paint it. So that's something I've really worked with clients, is to get those closing costs covered for them. I think we're kind of seeing a shift with that more and more common, and educating sellers on that a little bit too.
I would definitely agree with that 100%. I would say like probably 75% of my buyers have closing cost or like concessions from the seller of some sort, whether it's covering half or the majority of the closing cost or all of it.
I think it just helps people. I'm always surprised too. I talk a lot with my clients, and so something I don't think sometimes they realize, because I talk to them a lot of times before they've talked to a lender, so they haven't had a lender educate them on this, is that closing costs are separate from down payment. So they think they're just going to be paying that percentage for down payment, and then they get a $5,000 closing cost. I'm like, what the heck is this? So just really trying to educate them that at the end of the day, this is everything you should expect. Plus, so it's fun getting to kind of help them understand how it actually works out.
First time home buyers are great with that, because it's like they're like a sponge.
It is. It's fun. I love working with first time home buyers, or even people. I have a lot of families that do sell their homes and it's been 8 years, so they're like, I forgot everything. I'm like, that's okay. That's why we're here.
For sure. Now, kind of like on the other end of that, what are you seeing right now that's maybe causing a deal to fall apart or fall through and not work out? Is there like one specific thing? I know every situation is unique and it's all different, but is there like one specific thing that you might keep seeing?
Something I have pushed my buyers to do sooner than later. I feel like the industry standard is for homeowners insurance is almost like a second thought. That should not be the case. As soon as you like a house and you think you're getting under contract, we're sending that to an insurance person that can give us a home insurance quote, because home insurance is getting expensive. If a roof is 10 years old, I mean, you can expect your rate to go up. So with that, I've seen deals fall apart because people wait too long to get their homeowner's insurance quote, and they realize they can't afford it because the roof is 15 years old. And even though they were aware that the roof was 15 years old, they weren't aware of what that quote would come back in at. 100%. So as soon as we're under contract, we're having the conversation for homeowner's insurance, just so there is no surprise.
I love that, because it's you're kind of one of the first agents that I've heard like mention that, just because being a lender, I deal with that all the time. And fortunately there's not been very many times whenever and none recently where the homeowner's insurance has caused like major issues. But there's definitely been times when it's like it was right there. Whenever we had to really they got a quote and it was way too high, so we had to get other quotes. And it was like, okay, this really put my payment higher than I expected it and wanted it to be. And it's like, so definitely getting that done
earlier, so that if there's something we need to adjust, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think it's surprising. I mean, my husband and I's home, our roof is 11 years old. We bought it a few years ago, but that 10-year mark for a roof is when insurance starts to go up again. I always thought it was the 15-year mark. So HVAC, roof, all of that plays into it.
For sure. Okay, and then what would you say is like the biggest like expectation gap between buyers and sellers? So like when a seller accepts the offer and they're under contract, I mean, what would you say like maybe the buyer is expecting that maybe the seller's not, or vice versa?
Man, I think when it comes down to that negotiated offer price, if we are lowballing, I tell my buyers, I'm like, okay, listen, if we're gonna, I don't want to use the word lowballing, but if we're gonna come in under list price, somewhat significantly, we maybe shouldn't expect them to do every repair that you want done. And I've had hard conversations with clients because sometimes we do get a great accepted offer and they then come back and want every little thing done, and sellers already feel like, man, I'm giving them a good deal. So just trying to have that conversation early enough that if you are coming in much lower than offer price and maybe even what market value would say it is, we don't expect everything to be done on an inspection report. Of course, let's look at these big things, but touching up some paint holes can maybe pause. So it's not let a deal fall apart because of the little nitty gritty things. So
for sure.
I feel like there was kind of a difference in expectations between buyers and sellers, because sellers already feel like they've given up so much. Buyers still sometimes feel like they need to take. And it's like, hey, let's remember we're all human here.
Right.
Let's make everyone happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just a perfect example, because there's been a lot of times whenever, like we'll be under contract and we came in $10,000 or $15,000 low, they accepted it.
Yeah.
But then stuff came back on the appraisal, and then the buyers are like, okay, well, you need to fix all this.
Yeah.
And the sellers are like,
sometimes it's little, like, even $150 things, and it's like, at the end of the day, I'll help to do it. But like, you just, sellers don't want to feel like, I think everyone wants to feel like they're getting something out of the deal, and so just to remember that whether you are a buyer or a seller, just to, because I've seen people kind of get ugly over things like that.
Yeah. When you have one side that, no matter what side it is, buyers or sellers, but I mean, when you have one side that is kind of like one-sided, and they're like, I want everything, and then you got this side that's like, hey, I've given up so much to try to help, and you're just wanting more. Definitely,
those are hard.
For sure. Okay, so what is something in the market right now that you kind of wish that like buyers and sellers would just, you keep seeing it and you're just like, I wish you would stop doing that?
Gotta think about this. What's something I wish buyers and sellers, I'm seeing that they, sorry.
Well, it's kind of, as I ask it, it's kind of a redundant question, because we kind of already answered
That's what I don't want to answer what I already have.
So we'll skip it.
Okay, sorry.
No.
I like the question. It's just like I kind of.
Well, because as I think about it, it's like you kind of already answered it with like the pre-approval letter and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of like a repetitive question. So we'll just skip that one. Okay. All right. So now I kind of want to go into talking about like investing.
Yeah.
Like first-time investors and stuff like that. So with first-time investors, they're looking for their first investment property. What does that usually look like for your clients?
I mean, I love investors. I think it's fun because I think as a real estate agent, you get to wear both hats. I mean, you're helping people buy their family home, so that's a little bit more emotionally driven.
Yeah.
Investments are numbers, and you have to leave it at numbers. And so you'll get people that'll come. I'll have people come to me and they want to talk about first time investing and getting that. And I think because HGTV, Netflix shows, people think real estate's sexy, and it's really not. It's dirty. Having to go to your rental because the basement's flooded at 8 a.m. in the morning, it's not pretty. But it's something, it's wealth building is what it is. And so it is hard work. And so what happens sometimes, what I've seen with investors is they'll call me and they're like, hey, I really want to invest. I want that first rental property. We'll talk about it. They'll start listing these neighborhoods like Roundtree, Southern Hills, Brentwood. I'm like, you and everyone else wants that one too. So let's maybe talk about what your goal is for investing. If it's cash flow, that might not be the place for it, because those are not, those properties to find a home with a ton of equity that is going to allow you to cash flow are a lot further than maybe if we start to look a little bit Northwest Springfield or even more rural. Rural areas are huge. Aurora, Marshfield.
Yeah, for sure.
Rentals do great there, and I think people just think they want these like really good niche areas. But sorry, that's definitely a long answer.
That's
like
fine.
Going on a rampage, but I do love helping investors and having those conversations with them. Okay,
perfect. Well, and that actually, I'm glad you were kind of segueing into that because it kind of helps with the next question is, what's the biggest mistake that you are seeing first-time investors make?
I think first-time investors think they are buying an investment property and it's 2015. Finding a home with a ton of equity is just a little bit harder. Especially one that doesn't need work. Those are almost impossible. So again, I think investors kind of come into this with sometimes, unfortunately, a little bit of entitlement. And I can't say I haven't been there before, but it's important to know that if you want something that's either going to cash flow or have equity, it's going to need work. So whether you're going to be the one that does that, but what I love to get to do is pen and paper it all out, is to bring them an off-market deal and like, hey, let's take this to the drawing board. What do you need it to cash flow? And then so we talk about, even I have great contractors I work with, so I have a pretty good idea on what it's going to cost to get it to market value or after repair value. And so we really talk openly about the entire transaction from start to finish to the point a tenant is in. And I think those are fun because this is when real estate does become black and white. It's literally numbers at the end of the day. You kind of remove the emotions, and Yeah, but again, I've had some hard conversations with the people wanting to start investing who think that it's just going to be prettier than it is.
Yeah.
And it's not. You're buying some of these rundown homes, but if you kind of look at it too, you're getting to restore property. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of, like you're, there's a lot of, the emotions taken out of it, but you're also getting to turn it into something that, you can be proud of and for a rental.
Because that's also an issue in kind of expectations is I think people think their property is going to cash flow a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And I think you really just need to look at it as a long-term investment. And that's truly what it is, because you have a tenant paying down. And so every year your net worth is increasing because the asset is, not only is it appreciating because it's a real estate, but also someone else is paying down that rate and the interest and all that payment. So the principal of the payment. So I think if you're willing to look at it on a 5 to 10 year period investment, that's huge for people just getting started, rather than thinking like, oh, I just want a few extra $100 in my pocket every month, because those are harder to come across. Unless you're willing to put a bunch down. But
for sure. Yeah. I think that should, and it's funny because you say that, because I'm sitting here thinking like a couple years ago, when I was, looking at investment properties and stuff like that, that's the exact mindset I had.
And I'm guilty of it
was
too.
Like, okay, I wasn't thinking about long term. I was thinking about, I just want the immediate short term. How much money am I going to be getting profiting every month? But whenever you flip that and you're like, every month and every year that you have a tenant paying on this, your equity is growing and your net worth is growing.
I've experienced it firsthand, my husband and I, and then I've helped clients as well. It's a snowball effect. So those first initial few might just kind of be breaking even. But you're able to then use the equity to purchase something else. Like it is truly a compounding effect when it comes to real estate investing. That first one just may not be all the prettiest.
Right.
I think sometimes people have a hard time with that.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. No, I love that. Okay. And then, as a first-time as a first-time investor, what do you think that they need to be focusing on first? Would it be location, cash flow, the condition of it, whether they're going to be able to get a tenant in there right away, or price point? Like, what should they be focusing on? What's the most important focus?
I think it depends. I have clients who, this is where it's tough, because I have an array of clients where I have some who want to do the true BRRRR method, buy, rent, renovate, and sometimes they'll resell, or sometimes, I guess it's not the true BRRRR method because they're holding on to it. But that's huge for people wanting to get started if they're willing to do a little bit of work, or if they're able to secure them one that has a good ARV where they're able to go in and renovate it and have equity in it, where you barely have to put any down at that point, because your 20% is in your equity that you got through renovating it. And then you can take that equity out of that to purchase something else if you have a good lender. But there's just a lot of ways. And then I have clients investors who are in the true short-term rentals for the tax advantage, where you can depreciate the asset towards your income tax. That's huge. So it's fun getting to work with different ends of the, I'm trying to remember what the question was.
No, you're good. Just like the focus.
Yeah, it's fun to see the different areas of real estate investing in our area, because it's true. It can be true wealth building for people. It can be completely situational change for them when it comes to their finances.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, perfect. Now, whenever it comes to long-term and short-term, because I know you've helped investors with both. How do you help them make that decision on which route they're going to go?
I really think it comes down to what you want at the end of the day. I think if you're going to go the short term, there's a huge tax advantage in short term. And so if you're making some decent money and you're just like, hey, I'm getting hit hard, short term might really be a conversation. I have great accountants I work with that can kind of help educate them on that. But then if you're just wanting to get started for the true long term wealth building, that is going to be your long-term investments.
Gotcha.
Both are going to be needy. I think people also get into real estate long-term investment thinking that they're going to be able to have a property manager. That's 10% right out of your pocket. And sometimes it's more than that. So to understand that you're playing the long-term game and it's not always easy. And so I just want that expectation to be clear, because I think people are sold through, again, the HGTV and all those shows that it's just this glamorous. And it's like, no, it's hard work. And it does take discipline. So
for sure. Okay. Somebody wants to get into investing. First-time investor, they want to get into it, but they're extremely nervous what would you say to them?
I think we would just break down what it is they're nervous about. If they're nervous about the time management, talk about that, whether that be because they're going to renovate it and they don't think they have the time. Okay, well, let's run these numbers if some of this was to be contracted out. If they're worried about it cash flowing, or if they're worried about just having, I mean, at the end of the day, it's debt on your spreadsheet, but it's paying itself off over the next 10 years. It's going to look a lot different on your net worth than it does right now.
Right,
and so just really trying to figure out the why for the nerves and have just a very blunt conversation of trying to figure out. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to people. I've had people reach out to me who think they want to, and then we talk about it more, and it's like, oh, maybe it's not like the Netflix shows and selling stuff. It's just, I think some people have been sold a lie, and it is a lot of work. And that's why, I mean, even I have clients who sell rentals off because they realize how much work it is. And I think just making sure that if they're getting into it and have nerves, just trying to figure out where those are coming from and if it's truly for them.
Yeah. So, with like segueing, still with that, what, like if you have somebody that they're like, okay, I want to invest, but I don't want to do short term. I don't want to do long term. I would rather flip.
Yeah, those are fun.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think those are fun. You don't make as much because you're going to be taxed heavily, but there are still deals out there and that's where I have clients who they are the contractor and they do the work themselves. So putting the pen to paper on that one is a lot different when it comes to the numbers compared to someone who's like, hey, I want to buy something, but I don't want to do anything. I want to contract everything out. So those ones are fun. I think it just comes down to what you want at the end of the day. So if you're kind of needing some savings built up, that might be a good thing to look at. Those are just harder to come across because you have the little stop signs that say we buy homes, and they will lowball the seller and get a good deal. So those are a little bit harder to come across, but they do still happen. I think sometimes people get also, they don't like the weight in it.
Right.
The entire process from start to finish when it comes to investing, whether it be short term, long term, or investing, it's a while to get a good deal.
Yeah, for sure. And I asked that question just because, like, I know, a lot of people. I think more people want to do short term or long term, but I know that there are people out there that were like, I don't want to be a landlord. I just want to buy it, flip it, and sell it. And
I feel like for the most part, those clients, the majority of those people are usually the contractors. Because they're the ones that can do the work and make the numbers make sense. It's just harder to make those numbers make sense right now if you're bidding everything out.
That's true. Okay. And then what would you say is like, if you're looking at an investment property, what's like the biggest green flag that would make that property worth it?
For me, we renovate properties. So the biggest green flag is like the floor falling in on itself. It needs work, but we're able to get a good price.
Gotcha.
Usually those are people like, I don't want this property anymore. Take it off my hands. And so you're able to get a good deal. I, as a real estate agent, run comps. I know what the ARV is going to be. So I know what it's going to cost to renovate. So those are fun. That's more my bread and butter is the true renovating, because then you get equity in that. And like I said, it's a compounding effect. But for me, those are definitely the green flag. Location for us, I mean, we have rentals all the way from Springfield. We have them in Springfield to Aurora and Marshfield, and it's the little towns that do better than the Springfield area, surprisingly. So I think some people think location and they think of this very like bigger city, but it's like, no, these rural towns are actually the towns that need rentals and fill up very, very quickly. And honestly, have a longer term tenant that stays in there for many, many years and is just great on the house. So I don't necessarily think when it comes to location that you have to be in Springfield for it to be good.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think a lot of people think Springfield because they're like, oh, it's bigger, so it's going to be easier to find something, so it's going to be easier to get a tenant in there. But in reality, it's, I as you said, like with Aurora, keeping the tenant in there longer and taking care of it, I feel like you're going to have more success with that than, somebody, in the middle of Springfield that, they might be in there for 6 months or a year and then move on or something. Okay. So kind of just a couple quick things for like a buyer, seller, just a couple quick tips for them. So with a buyer, what tip would you give that they can strengthen their offer without paying more?
What tip would I give a buyer that will strengthen their offer without paying more?
Without like just throwing more money at the purchase price or something.
If it's a really hot house, because we still have those. We have those houses that are going under contract very quickly. A quick closing is going to be important. So talking to the lender, making sure it's going to be realistic for a 30-day closing or maybe even a little bit less. Depending on who they're working with as far as lender, sometimes the appraisal waiving that, we recently did one of those. Those are huge. And honestly, my job too is still to make sure you're not overpaying for a house. So I'm going to run comps and make sure that like, hey, just because we waive the appraisal, you're not overpaying. Like this is market value, but it's going to, it might allow us to increase the timeline for purchase, which is usually good for sellers. But then it's also just going to be another little like cherry on top for a seller. So I just think there's a few little options here and there. I think, to still be able to get a good deal on a house. But then of course we talked closing cost, being able to maybe get those negotiated in there as well. But when it's a really hot house, those are hard. But if it's been on the market for a little while, that's always going to be good because they're still getting the house for the same price. They're just bringing a little less at the end of the day to the closing table.
Which for a lot of buyers is the most important thing. Is, I have a lot of buyers who they're like, I would rather spend $30, $40, $50 more on my monthly payment, but bring $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 less to the closing table.
No, it really is huge for first-time home buyers, especially because they really only see themselves in this home for 2 to 3 years. So that $30 increase for a 2-year period is a lot less than bringing $8,000 to the table that they never see again.
And plus, like with concessions, I always tell my buyers too, I'm like, hey, if we can get enough concessions, not only will this cover your closing costs, but it actually, you might not see that $30, $40, $50 payment increase because we may have enough left over to get your rate lower.
Exactly.
And then whenever they start seeing that, and they're like, okay, so my payment could stay the same and I don't have to bring $8,000 to the table, like extra, that's like huge. Kind of a no-brainer.
And I think it's just one of those things people aren't aware of until they start having those conversations.
For sure. There's so many buyers and stuff, like whenever we're discussing and I'll mention concessions and I'm like, before I go any further, I'm like, are you familiar with that? Have you ever heard of that? 90% of the time, nope, I have no idea what that means.
I agree.
Okay, and then with sellers, what is one thing that you could tell a seller that will help make their listing stand out quickly?
I know we kind of touched on it, but it's just huge right now, having your home move-in ready. And that can, like I said, be a Saturday morning, going to Home Depot, sprucing up some landscaping, getting mulch, having the yard freshly painted. I always do my job to market the house to the best of my ability. So I do have a professional photographer, videographer. We are cross-posting that to everywhere on Meta, to everything. We are putting it out there to a large sphere of buyers. So I'm going to always do my part for them. But if they want to just clean the house and have it move-in ready, that's what's going to set themselves up for success.
Okay, perfect. Love it. All right. Well, that's kind of coming to the end. Really, I just have one last kind of question. If you could give anybody, buyers, sellers, doesn't matter, like advice on how to save on stress and money, like what would you tell them?
Oh man, I hope I don't step on any toes, but your cousin who has their license and does it part-time and has only been doing it a year may not have your best interest. And it's not that they don't have your best interest, but they don't have the market knowledge someone doing this day in and day out full-time has. And so unfortunately, I have had listings to buyers because, even with buyers, a deal falls through because they used a family member or they used so-and-so's friend who doesn't do it full time. They
Yeah.
don't know the contract. They don't know off market deals. They don't understand it, especially if they're listing and some work needs to be done. They're overpaying on repairs because they're just calling the first Google company that comes up and unfortunately overcharges. I just unfortunately see so many clients getting not necessarily taken advantage of. They're just not getting the best deal. I think it really is crucial to go with someone who is doing this full time and knows the market.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they're just with that, like you said, I just don't think that they're definitely not getting the best service that they can possibly get.
The person they're working with might be doing the best that they can.
Right.
But when you're not doing it full time and you have something else taking your time, you're just limited on the knowledge and expertise you can provide to a client.
For sure. Yep. Perfect. Well, I love that. Okay. Now, we talked about your website and everything. So anybody who wants to go to that, I know we mentioned it, but would like to mention it again. Where do they go to access that?
Yeah, www.theozarksedit.com, or you can go to Instagram. We're starting to use that a little bit more, the Ozarks Edit. And we post every week. We have events that we're showcasing, businesses we're showcasing. It is truly just like a value add to this area. I love this area. I'm excited to continue to see it to grow. And if there's anything I can do to help people fall in love with this area, that's just my goal at the end of the day.
Perfect. Love it. Now, how about if anybody, they're watching the podcast and they're just like, man, I love everything Kiley says. I want to get in contact with her. How would they reach out to you?
They can reach out. I use social media a lot. Instagram, you can DM me. You can actually go to theozarksedit.com. I do have an inquiry there where we can talk all things real estate.
Perfect.
But my Instagram handle, if that's the route you want to go with, is ITS, Kiley Williams. And then I also, like I said, the Ozarks Edit has a real estate inquiry that you can people can use.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that is it for today's episode. Kiley, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, as always, whenever I post the podcast up, I will put Kiley's information on there as well as how to get to the Ozarks Edit. If anybody has any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to one of us, and we would be more than happy to help. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.